Momma Dee don't play. She gon' love you and nurture you when you need it. She gonna kick you in your ass when you ain't doing what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
And she gonna push you to go get that bag when it's time to get that money.
Yeah.
This is the mama that all children in the world need. We all need a Momma Dee. But Momma Dee is a real one. You know, one thing about her, people say what they want to say about Momma Dee, but Momma Dee ain't really no side picker. Momma Dee really go for. You know what your problem is?
I ain't got no problem, man. I beat your ass.
You had a million times to do it.
Why you
waiting till you get on TV to do it?
The sun was setting over the streets of Atlanta, casting a golden glow over the city that had become the heartbeat of hip-hop. But behind the scenes of the ever-watchful cameras and the flashing lights of love and hip-hop, Atlanta, something deeply personal was unfolding. Khaotic, still riding high off the release of his diss track aimed at Lil Scrappy, had found himself at the center of the storm. His feud with Scrappy had escalated, with the streets buzzing and social media on fire. But now, in a moment of unexpected vulnerability, there was an encounter no one had seen coming. It was a quiet afternoon when Khaotic pulled up to a local restaurant. He stepped out of his car, his usual swagger subdued by the weight of the tension brewing around him. He was ready for whatever the world had in store for him next. But what he didn't expect was a visit from someone who had been a mother figure to Scrappy for as long as he could remember. Mimi. She stood outside the restaurant, her presence commanding the space, but her face held a somber expression that Khaotic hadn't seen before. The queen of Atlanta hip-hop royalty, the woman who had once been a fierce protector of her son, was now standing before him in a way that was completely foreign. Mimi wasn't here to fight. She wasn't here to defend her son. She wasn't here to argue. She was here to beg. Khaotic raised an eyebrow, wondering what this was about. His fists clenched at his sides, still carrying the tension from their recent fallout. He had never been one to back down, and he sure wasn't about to let the woman who had always stood by her son tell him how to feel. But Momma Dee wasn't asking for a fight. She was asking for something much harder. As she stepped closer, Khaotic saw the shift in her demeanor. Gone was the fierce, unapologetic Momma Dee he had seen on TV and in the streets. Instead, there was a rawness in her eyes, an almost maternal sadness that made him pause. With a deep breath, she spoke, her voice steady but laced with emotion. Khaotic, I know things got out of hand and I know my son has a lot of pride. But I'm here today to apologize to you on his behalf. I know he hurt you and I can see how much this has affected you. I've been a mother all my life and I know when my child is wrong. I know he's wrong here and he needs to make it right. Khaotic's jaw tightened, his heart still raw from the diss track he had dropped days earlier. He had been fighting not just for respect but for acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that he, too, had worked hard for his place in the game. But as Momma Dee continued, the anger that had been simmering inside him began to fade, replaced by something else. I know I'm not the one you're mad at, Momma Dee said, her voice cracking slightly. I know you feel betrayed. But please, for me, for my son, just hear me out. He's proud, too proud sometimes, but he's not too proud to listen to me. And I'm asking you, please forgive him. Khaotic stood still, watching her as she spoke. There was a weight to her words, a sincerity that cut through the layers of bravado and hurt that had built up between them. He had never seen Momma Dee like this. She wasn't just a reality TV personality now. She was a mother pleading for her son's redemption. As she dropped her gaze to the ground, Khaotic could see the tears welling in her eyes. She wasn't asking for him to forget what had happened, nor was she asking him to simply forgive and forget. She was just asking for a chance for Scrappy to make things right, a chance for the two of them to heal from the rift that had torn through their once bonded paths. Khaotic took a deep breath, the anger slowly dissipating. It was hard to stay mad when someone was so raw, so vulnerable. And as much as he wanted to keep holding on to his pride, something in him softened. He wasn't ready to let go of everything, not yet. But he saw the humanity in Momma Dee's plea. And for the first time he saw a glimmer of the woman behind the TV persona. A mother who loved her son and a woman who understood the price of pride. He nodded slowly, the weight of the moment settling on his shoulders. I'll think about it, he said, his voice quieter now. but I can't make any promises. Scrappy's got his own battles to fight. Momma Dee's eyes glistened as she reached out, a silent gesture of gratitude. Not for forgiveness but for the chance to make things right. "Thank you, Khaotic," she whispered. "You don't know what this means to me." And with that, the moment passed. Khaotic turned to walk away, but something inside him had shifted. Maybe this wasn't just about a fight. Maybe, just maybe, it was about understanding. It was about healing.
I probably went too hard or something, took something the wrong way or something like that, you know? So I want to say, I'm sorry to Khaotic, you know?
We're getting somewhere.
Not. Cause I can give a. Cause let me tell you something. When a mother over me and he feel like I'm not a good person, I feel the same way Khaotic feel. So we on the same page.
No, but he does not feel that way.
He just said it. He said, hey, if you feel like I'm not a good person in your life,
No.
then you need to stay like that, and I'm gonna stand on
saying you're a
that.
good
And we gonna stand on it.
No.
Let's stand on it.
No.
We gonna stand on it.
No, he does not. Stop. He did not say that.
What I said was, if you feel like I'm a bad person to you, then I
Okay,
hold
but
on,
this
hold
is
on.
not about that right now. This is about you. How do you feel about him?
No.
I never said I had a problem with him.
No, this what he do. This what he do. He say something crazy, and he be like, "Oh, I ain't got no beef. I ain't got no son."
Khaotic always try to play a victim. He'll start some, then he want to be like, I don't want no beef, man. If you got an issue, stand on it. If not, sit down and shut up, bro.
At the end of the day, like I said, bro, it don't even really matter.
Cuz gonna try to goddamn. He want everybody to be like, "Oh my God."
No, because we're so grown, we can really make an assessment of our own thoughts here. I'm actually
I be watching cuz. I be like, "Oh."
Okay, so wait.
You know what your problem is?
I ain't got no problem, man. I beat your ass.
You had a million times to do it.
What now?
Why you waiting till you get on TV to do
Why you on
it?
YouTube?
Why you you're a TV man.
You a clown.
You got a problem with me.
You a talker. Keep talking that boy. Hey, man.
His ups and downs with his family, relationships, and career were well documented, but nothing could have prepared the world for the day when Scrappy's own actions would lead to his fall from grace. It all started during a particularly heated argument with Khaotic, a fellow cast member who had never been shy about speaking his mind. Khaotic, known for his brash attitude and willingness to stir up trouble, had found himself at odds with Scrappy over something small that quickly spiraled out of control. Words were exchanged, insults were hurled, and what began as a disagreement soon escalated into a full-blown confrontation. Scrappy, who had always been known for his quick temper, was at his breaking point. As the tension rose, the two men exchanged sharp words, but it was Scrappy's threat that would ultimately seal his fate. In a moment of anger, he threatened Khaotic in a way that went beyond mere words. His tone was menacing, and the words themselves left little room for interpretation. The producers and crew who had been present during the scene were shocked. This wasn't just another heated argument. This was a man who had crossed the line. Atlanta is no stranger to drama, especially when it comes to the lives of its hip-hop elite. Amidst the flashing cameras, heated diss tracks, and feuds that fuel social media debates, there are moments that transcend the chaos. Moments that pull back the curtain on the personalities we see on screen to reveal raw, unfiltered humanity. One such moment unfolded when none other than Momma Dee, the self-proclaimed queen of Atlanta and mother to Lil Scrappy, approached Khaotic in an unexpected attempt to mend bridges. Scrappy's feud had escalated to a boiling point, with diss tracks and confrontational exchanges setting the stage for a feud that had captivated fans. However, what no one saw coming was the moment Momma Dee decided to step into the storm, offering a heartfelt apology on her son's behalf. Let's dive into the story of this unlikely encounter, exploring the emotions, conversations, and revelations that turned a public feud into a moment of potential reconciliation. The sun was setting over the streets of Atlanta, painting the city in hues of orange and gold. For Khaotic, it was just another day as he pulled up to a local restaurant. He'd been navigating a whirlwind of controversy following the release of his diss track aimed at Lil Scrappy. The track had sparked a firestorm of reactions, with fans taking sides and the streets buzzing about the escalating feud. Khaotic, known for his unapologetic demeanor and swagger, had been carrying the weight of the drama on his shoulders. Stepping out of his car, he expected nothing more than a quiet meal to gather his thoughts. But as he approached the entrance, he spotted a figure that made him pause. Momma Dee. Standing there with her commanding presence, she was a vision of composure. But something was different this time. The usually fierce and unapologetic Momma Dee had a somber expression, one that Khaotic had never seen before. Her presence was powerful, but her demeanor was uncharacteristically subdued. "Khaotic," she called out, her voice steady but tinged with an emotion he couldn't quite place. He stopped in his tracks, his instincts immediately on high alert. Khaotic was on guard. This was the woman who had always been her son's fiercest defender. Why was she here? "What's this about, Momma Dee?" he asked, his tone laced with curiosity and caution. Momma Dee stepped closer, her hands clasped in front of her. "I'm not here to fight, baby. I'm here to talk." The tension was palpable as Khaotic crossed his arms, his expression guarded. He'd been through too much to let his guard down easily. But there was something about her demeanor that intrigued him, a vulnerability he'd never associated with her before. "Look, I'm going to get straight to the point," Momma Dee began, her voice steady yet tinged with emotion. "I know things between you and Scrappy got out of hand. I know my son has his pride and Lord knows he's made his share of mistakes. But I'm here today to apologize to you on his behalf." Khaotic raised an eyebrow, his fists clenching at his sides. The wounds from their fallout were still fresh, and the words she was saying felt almost surreal. "Apologize?" he echoed, his tone skeptical. "Why now, Momma Dee? Where was this energy when he was running his mouth and throwing shade?" She sighed, the weight of the situation evident in her posture. "I know you're hurt and I know my son's actions made it worse. But, Khaotic, I've been a mother long enough to know when my child is in the wrong. And right now I'm here to tell you he is wrong and he needs to make it right. But he's too proud to take the first step, so here I am." Her words hung in the air, heavy with sincerity. For a moment, Khaotic didn't respond. He was trying to process the unexpected turn of events. His jaw tightened as he looked at her, memories of the feud flashing through his mind. The diss track, the social media drama, the street chatter. It had all built up to this moment. He'd been fighting for respect, for acknowledgement. And now, here was Momma Dee, offering an olive branch on behalf of her son. "You think an apology can fix this?" he asked, his voice edged with bitterness. "Do you know how much I've had to deal with because of all this?" Momma Dee nodded, her gaze steady. "I know, baby. And I'm not here to dismiss your feelings or what you've been through. I'm just asking for a chance. A chance for Scrappy to make things right. A chance for you both to move past this." Her words were raw, unfiltered, and they struck a chord in Khaotic. For the first time, he saw her not as the larger-than-life reality TV personality, but as a mother who was pleading for her son's redemption. As she spoke, Khaotic felt his anger begin to dissipate, replaced by a mixture of emotions he couldn't quite name. It was hard to stay mad in the face of such vulnerability. Momma Dee's sincerity was undeniable, and it was clear that this wasn't just about Scrappy. This was about healing wounds, about bridging gaps that had only widened with time. "I'll think about it," Khaotic finally said, his voice quieter now. "But I'm not making any promises. Scrappy's got his own battles to fight." Momma Dee's eyes glistened as she nodded, her expression a mix of relief and gratitude. "That's all I'm asking for, baby. Just, As Khaotic watched her walk away, he felt a shift within himself. The encounter had been unexpected, but it had left an impact. Maybe this wasn't just about a feud or a diss track. Maybe it was about something deeper. Understanding, forgiveness, and the possibility of reconciliation. For Momma Dee, the moment was a testament to the lengths a mother would go to for her child. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she also knew that taking the first step was the hardest part, and she had done just that. The story of Momma Dee's apology to Khaotic is more than just a chapter in a reality TV saga. It's a reminder that behind every public persona is a human being with feelings, flaws, and the capacity for growth. In a world where pride often takes precedence over peace, this moment serves as a powerful example of the strength it takes to say, "I'm sorry." Whether or not Khaotic and Scrappy find a way to mend their relationship remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. Momma Dee's actions have opened the door for healing, proving that even in the midst of conflict, there is always room for compassion and understanding. In the 16th episode of Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta Season 12, the drama escalated to unforeseen heights as K-Red, a reality TV veteran reality star K-Red, known for her fiery personality and unapologetic demeanor, exposed a jaw-dropping secret that shook the entire cast and the fans watching at home. The revelation she dropped not only sent shockwaves through the group, but it also threatened to unravel the carefully constructed lives of two prominent figures on the show, Scrappy and his wife, Bambi. The explosive revelation would go down as one of the most unforgettable moments in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta history. The episode began innocently enough, with the cast gathering at a social event, each member navigating their own personal struggles. But as the conversation took a more serious turn, it quickly became clear that K-Red had something heavy weighing on her mind. Carly, always known to speak her truth, stood up with a determined look in her eyes and shared a shocking piece of information that would leave everyone, including Scrappy, reeling. In her typically bold manner, Carly didn't waste time with pleasantries. She looked straight at Scrappy and, without hesitation, dropped the bombshell that would change everything. Scrappy has a baby, a whole secret child that no one knew about. The room fell silent. What had started as a casual gathering among friends now felt like a high-stakes reality show moment, where no one knew what was coming next. Her words lingered in the air like a heavy storm cloud. For the first time, viewers saw Carly's usual confidence crack. This wasn't about stirring drama or making headlines. This was about exposing a deep betrayal that had been hidden for far too long. She went on to explain that Scrappy had been carrying on an affair that resulted in a child. A secret he had kept not only from his wife Bambi but from the entire world. The revelation was almost too much to process, and everyone in the room seemed caught between disbelief and anger. For the audience, it was as if time had stopped. Scrappy, who had always projected an image of loyalty and devotion, now found himself at the center of a scandal that threatened everything he had worked for, both personally and professionally. His face went pale as Carly's words echoed in his ears. He had no idea how to defend himself. The once cool, calm, and collected figure was now visibly rattled, stammering as he tried to explain. But the damage had already been done. Carly's revelation was out in the open, and there was no taking it back. As the tension built, the rest of the cast exchanged glances. Some looked on in disbelief, while others were eager to hear Scrappy's side of the story. But it wasn't just the other cast members who were affected. Scrappy's wife, Bambi, was in for the shock of her life. Bambi had always trusted her husband. She had believed that their family was built on mutual respect and love. But the moment Carly exposed the affair and the secret child, Bambi's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The camera panned to Bambi's face, capturing the raw emotion pouring through her eyes. Her body language shifted from a woman in love to one overcome with betrayal. The hurt was evident in every part of her expression. She could hardly believe what she was hearing, and her hands trembled as she processed the gravity of the situation. It was clear that Carly's bombshell had pierced her to the core. Bambi, who had always been one of the show's most grounded figures, was now caught in an emotional whirlwind. Her mind raced as she tried to comprehend the betrayal. How could Scrappy hide such an important part of his life from her? What did it mean for their relationship, and for their children? The questions came flooding in, but the answers seemed as elusive as ever. Scrappy, in a desperate attempt to salvage what was left of his reputation, tried to explain the situation. He claimed that the affair had happened a long time ago and that he had made amends for his past mistakes. But the truth was, no matter how much he tried to rationalize or justify his actions, the pain Bambi felt was too real to ignore. She looked him in the eyes and asked him point blank, "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you trust me enough to be honest with me?" Scrappy could offer no satisfying answer. And in that moment, the rift between them seemed irreparable. Bambi's heartache was palpable as she confronted Scrappy with the weight of his dishonesty. Her voice quivered as she demanded the truth. But the truth was far more complicated than anyone could have imagined. It wasn't just about the child. It was about trust, loyalty, and the years of hidden secrets that had finally come to light. The tension in the room was unbearable as the cast looked on, their expressions a mix of sympathy and shock. Some began to wonder if Carly's actions were fueled by jealousy or a genuine desire to expose the truth. Others saw Carly's actions served as a wake-up call. Maybe the group needed to face their own skeletons instead of letting secrets fester in the background. As the conversation unfolded, Scrappy tried to salvage the situation by apologizing profusely, but it was clear that his words carried little weight compared to the emotional damage that had already been done. For Bambi, it wasn't just about the affair. It was about the years of silence, the missed opportunities for honesty, and the deep trust that had been broken. The scene continued to unravel as the group tried to process what had just transpired. Some, like Momma Dee and Erica, were caught between offering support to Bambi while still trying to give Scrappy a chance to explain himself. But deep down, everyone knew that the weight of the secret child was too heavy to ignore. As the episode came to a close, Bambi's anger and heartbreak were on full display. The future of her marriage hung in the balance, and no one could predict whether she would ever be able to forgive Scrappy for his lies. Scrappy, left alone in the midst of the aftermath, was forced to reflect on the consequences of his actions, and whether he could ever rebuild the trust he had lost. But the bombshell Carly had dropped didn't just impact Scrappy and Bambi. It set the stage for more revelations to come. The ripple effect of the secret child was only beginning to take shape, and it seemed like no one would emerge unscathed from the emotional fallout. As the camera panned out and the episode ended on a cliffhanger, fans were left eagerly awaiting the next chapter of this drama-filled saga. Would Scrappy and Bambi's marriage survive this devastating secret? Would Carly's explosive actions lead to more turmoil within the group? One thing was certain: the revelations of that night would change everything, and no one would be able to escape the consequences of the truth. The story was far from over, and the tension would only continue to rise as the secrets and lies continued to unravel.